Hi Swifties, welcome back to my channel. I am the Taylor Swiftologist, and today I am coming at you with a Reputation themed video. If you haven't been here before, I am a journalist by trade and a Swiftie by choice, and on this channel I like to analyze the public persona of Taylor Swift because that is one of my favorite hobbies that I have been doing since 2009, 2010. I've been around for a long time, so I have a lot of trivia, a lot of context stored in this noggin of mine. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. I'm very close to hitting a subscriber milestone, so it would be amazing if you would support this channel by subscribing. Also, give this video a like and leave me a comment. Let me know what kind of content you want to see in the future. I am consistently pulling ideas from the comments that you guys leave me, and this video today is no exception. Today I am going to be discussing the chaos of the Reputation tracklist, fixing it, and ranking the entire album. Now, I know that Reputation is one of those albums that gets everybody a little testy. It seems as though there are so many vocal stans who believe they are some sort of oppressed minority within the Swiftie community. It's not unpopular to love Reputation. Let's just throw that out there first. Reputation stans are many and far, and they are loud. They are very loud. The true rare people are the debut stans, okay? They're very silent and there aren't very many of them. They are the real red herrings of this fandom. Reputation stans, like the album itself, have a victim complex. They think that everyone is out to get them and that no one understands Reputation, that it's just this like beautiful masterpiece that like no one can get because they're not smart enough. The concept of Reputation is very simple. The whole it's a love story disguised as a character album is really not that hard to figure out once you listen to like more than 3 songs on the record. This is coming from someone who says it with love. I went to a secret session. If you don't know, now you know. And for all of my returning subscribers, don't ask me when that video is coming. It's coming when it's coming. And my Patreon is coming when it's coming. I'm overwhelmed, okay? I'm just trying to live and make fun content for you. I'm not trying to think too far in the future. So let's see how that goes. So I think that I'm gonna have some opinions that are gonna surprise you. I have cut some songs from the track list. If you haven't seen my ranking and reshuffling video before, I did one for Lover, which I felt was necessary because that album was so long and parts of it were so bad, but parts of it were so good. I had to like give it a full video to explain like what I would do, how I would doctor it to make it better than how it came to us. And I decided that I might as well just do the same thing for all the albums. So today we're doing Reputation. It was just on my mind today. I was listening to one of my favorite songs from Reputation and I was just vibing. So without further ado, let's start ranking. We have 5 categories to rank these in. Gift from God, Legendary, all right, on my list, Dead to Me. And before any of you start crying in my comment section and being rude, just remember that I'm very liberal with the block button. Enough about the block button, let's get into the good stuff. And you know, we're starting off with a bang because the first song is Dress. Instant Gift from God song. I mean, this song, I will always come back to this description of it because I think it was Pitchfork in their review of Reputation called Dress a panting, shuddering highlight. Now this song is the undiscovered song of the Taylor Swift discography. Nobody likes to talk about how great this song is. People even call it boring, which is extremely rude to me. I think that the production is really sparse and it's really interesting. The song is really an example of what Reputation does in its best moments. It combines Taylor's storytelling, narrative-driven, melodic songwriting with this kind of sparse, down-tempo production that has an edgier, darker feel to it. And I remember at the secret session when she played Dress, Scott Swift was like, haha, and it went like this for the entire song. Yeah, I think that this is probably my favorite song off of Reputation and one of my top 10 Taylor songs of all time. I'm obsessed with this panting, shuddering highlight. This is why we can't have nice things. It's on my list. It's not quite Dead to Me because I am really obsessed with how she says, "Here's to my mama," in the bridge. I love listening to that part over and over and over again. And I remember when I first heard this song, I was like very shook. I was in her living room, obviously, so I was like very shaken by the forthrightness of who this song was directed at. But you know what? I think that it's awkwardly placed on the track list, and I think that we have enough of the vindictive, poor me songs on the album. This is just a little petulant. It's kind of like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together and that it sounds like there are a bunch of children chanting, but not in like a fun or good way. And I can't believe that this song was the closing number for a stadium tour when Shake It Off is right there. Like, why is Shake It Off languishing in the middle of the set and we're closing it off with This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things? It's inappropriate tonally, and you know what? I have some feelings about where this should or shouldn't be on the album, which we will get into after my ranking. Up next, another absolute banger, slap in the face, punch you in the teeth, pull out all your eyelashes, call it what you want, gift from God. I love this song. There is only one part of this song that makes me kind of want to shift it into legendary, but I won't. And it's the trust him like a brother. There's just something not right about saying that this guy you want to fuck, that you want to take your dress off for, reminds you of your brother. You know, it's inappropriate. And we all know what Austin Swift looks like. Let's just say if I was gonna have sex with my brother and my brother was Austin Swift, I wouldn't think it was worth it. But Call It What You Want, otherwise, is a really beautiful song. Production is really interesting on Call It What You Want. Again, it's sparse, it's pulled back. I think it really allows the conversational cadence tone of her voice to come through really well. And that's something that I like the most about Reputation's intimate moments, is that it feels very candid and confessional with that kind of like talk singing thing that she hasn't quite done again ever since. But Call It What You Want to me is kind of like the beating heart of this album. It is her being both defensive and defenseless. So I'll leave you with that to chew on while we talk about the other songs. New Year's Day, Dead to Me, Just Like Daylight on Lover, which everybody loves to argue with me about. I think that New Year's Day is forced and ham-fisted. When we were at the secret session, Taylor said that for years she'd been trying to shoehorn these two lyrics that she had in her notes forever into one song. The lyrics were, please don't ever become a stranger whose laugh I could recognize anywhere, and hold on to the memories, they will hold on to you. To me, after I heard that, that part of the song always felt so clunky and forced to me. I don't like the way that New Year's Day sounds. It's the piano, like I'm not really into the refrain of it. I like the idea of cleaning up bottles with you on New Year's Day, sure, why not? I just think that she was really trying to have a ballad moment, and this record was strong enough to exist without having a forced ballad moment tacked on at the very end of a pretty wild journey that was fairly cohesive until we got to that point. So I would, I would, if I could not listen to New Year's Day ever again, I don't think that I would be too sad about it. Ready for It. I think my main gripes with Ready for It are how it was a single and how the single rollout went. So I'm gonna put Ready for It in legendary because I mean, starting the album with the throat clear, a bit iconic, burst into this Taylor, wonderful, iconic, show-stopping imagery. This is the only time that I think Taylor's like rapping worked, which brings me right into Endgame, which I'm gonna put in Dead to Me. Taylor's parts of Endgame are good. Future's verse is limp and Ed Sheeran's is embarrassing. So I just feel like, again, I don't like it when Taylor overly orchestrates or creates a moment, and the way that she described this song when she was telling us about it was that she and Ed were always like getting drunk and like laughing about how amazing it would be if they wrote a song with Future, and then they just did it. So to me, that's like too calculated. And I know that Miss Swift doesn't like it when we use that word to describe her or the things that she does, but sometimes it's inescapable. I really do think that this was like a focus grouped song. It was supposed to be a hit. It was supposed to slap. It was supposed to really fit that like 2017 trap hop, weird music sound that all the pop stars were trying to fit into. And you know what? It didn't land. It didn't land. The single didn't do well. The music video was like weird. Joseph Kahn like really dropped the ball on every video after Look What You Made Me Do. I just think that the album would have been better without it. I don't like forced moments. I like authenticity. And speaking of authenticity, I Did Something Bad. Gift from God or legendary? This is hard because when I first heard I Did Something Bad, I went insane. Like in the living room, I just went absolutely insane. It was the gunshots. I was like so taken aback by it. And then when I listened to it again after the album came out, I also was shook. It was my number one for a really long time. But again, I am aware that these particular songs, Endgame, I Did Something Bad, Ready for It, Look What You Made Me Do, these are characters, right? Like these aren't Taylor, they're like versions of Taylor or theoretical iterations, media portrayals of Taylor, like Blank Space. So can I really connect personally to I Did Something Bad and put it in Gift from God? Yes, I can. If a man talks shit, then I owe him nothing. It's going in the Gift from God category. Up next is Don't Blame Me. And yeah, this song, this is only all right. And that's more of an insult than putting it in Dead to Me, because this song just has like no impact on my life. Like it really, I never think about it. I never revisit it. It's so bland. It's such a like weak attempt with the addiction metaphor. There's so much you could do with comparing someone that you love to a drug and comparing your lovingness to a substance. And I feel like Don't Blame Me just kind of didn't accomplish it. The only really like show-stopping moment is her high note at the end. And that really does, that does send me into another dimension. But I just think that this song is kind of middle of the road. Like, it's very rote Reputation. Like, it just kind of copies from the playbook. It really deals in generalities and not specificities, which, you know, that's another gripe I have with some of this album, is that it's a very, like, it's like a sketch. It's not a fully realized picture. Delicate. Gift from God. I mean, Delicate is, I can't deny the impact that Delicate had. It was like the saving grace commercially for Reputation. It was a very successful single. It lingered on the charts. People played it at their parties. Like, Look What You Made Me Do brought Taylor back into the public consciousness, but Delicate allowed her to stay there until Lover came out. And then, you know, Folklore Evermore, it all kind of just came back full circle after that. But, you know, Delicate was really like quite startling. It does what Dress does. It really like mixes those two beautiful worlds of the familiar and the new together to kind of make something super unique that I don't think she could have created at any other point in her career. And there's something so like powerful about the really subtle drop in the chorus. I mean, I don't know, it's super amazing. Speaking of things that are super amazing, Look What You Made Me Do, Gift from God. I love this song. Everybody, you know, it seems to be the one acceptable opinion that people have about Reputation, if it's not entirely positive, is that Look What You Made Me Do is bad. And that to me is like the most brain dead take of all time. Look What You Made Me Do is a super interesting song. Like, structurally, melodically, it's really out there and different and wacky, and truly, like, this is the most experimental moment on Reputation that exists. I remember I read in another review that someone said that as artists get older, they get less experimental, and Taylor has never really been like a particularly experimental artist. She hones her craft and she makes herself better, and she's always improving, but she's not particularly risky with her decisions. To me, Look What You Made Me Do was a huge risk to take. I mean, people had very polarized reactions to it. It was always gonna be a big deal because it was her coming back from this long hiatus and this cancellation, but she could have picked a song that would have been more like kind of down the path that she had already walked. Something like Delicate, you know? Like, it's different, but it follows the same kind of logical thread that Taylor has weaved throughout her career. Look What You Made Me Do was a fucking curveball, and it served. It served. I love it. I think it will stand the test of time, and people will come back to it and realize that it was a moment of excellence, not just a flash in the pan. So it goes. Legendary. Listen, this song, I understand. It's kind of similar to Don't Blame Me in the way that it is rote Reputation, like it just follows the kind of formula, but I just think this sounds better and it's more mysterious, and that whispered 1, 2, 3 in the bridge. I mean, this song goes really hard, and you don't realize it until you listen to it a bunch of times, but it goes super hard. And I do wish that she did this more on tour, and I wish it got a full production. I'm kind of sad that it was an acoustic song, because this song doesn't really work acoustically. I mean, it's okay, but I think that it would have been better had we gotten a big moment in the middle of the show and ditched some of the flops, like King of My Heart, which we will get to in just a moment. Gorgeous has lyrics that could cut glass, and no one could tell me any different. Now, do I put it in Legendary or do I put it in Gift from God? Let's see. I'm gonna put it in Legendary. Gorgeous is so cute, and it's ironic-ish. It reminds me of London Boy in that to the untrained eye, it's a satire, but if you know Taylor, it's like completely 100% legitimately serious. I think Gorgeous does have a tongue-in-cheek element to it, like, I feel like I might sink and drown and die. Like, this song is funny, and the production elements are really quirky and fun, and everybody kind of lost their mind because this was the third song that we heard from Reputation, and it was so different to the first two, being Look What You Made Me Do and Ready For It. I think that people were very surprised that she had levity in this record, and they thought that it would break up the cohesion of it, but I think that, like, Gorgeous is absolutely part of the Reputation story. Like, she's not really one to second guess herself or to revisit chance encounters over and over and over again in any sort of worried or analytical way, more in just like a whimsical, I was enchanted to meet you kind of way. So I think that Gorgeous is different and fun and unique, and she sounds like she's having a lot of fun while she's singing it. And that always puts a smile on my little face. Up next, Getaway Car, Gift from God. I mean, Getaway Car is not really a departure from 1989. It's more of a continuation. This is like the bridge between 1989 and Reputation. I think that this is truly a stunning song on the record. It is an outlier production-wise. Could it have been a bonus track? I mean, you could argue that if there was a deluxe edition, it would belong there more than on the standard edition. But I just think that the entire setup and the key change and, you know, the intricacy of the storytelling is so classically Taylor, and this song is an example of what I love the most about Jack Antonoff's production work and the way that he pulls her into and out of herself while they're writing. He, I think, has a bird's eye view of who she is as a cultural figure and an artist, but also knows her as a person and a friend. He's not like this kind of discombobulated large production figure like Max Martin, whose ultimate goal is just to make the most like biggest smash hit ever of all time. I think he's more into the nitty gritty, the details, the things that bigger producers that don't know her as well might overlook. And that's why Getaway Car is so good. King of My Heart, Dead to Me. I hate this fucking song. I hate it. It's a bleep bloop song. There's something about it that I just don't like. It's childish in a way that's not fun to me. I don't think that it really super fits with the rest of Reputation. The production is annoying. I don't like it, and you can go suck on an egg if you think that I care what you think about it before you leave a comment. Dancing with Our Hands Tied. I'm gonna put this in all right, and the reason why I'm putting it there is because the production ruins it. Like, the production of it is so like 2017 in the worst way possible. It really reminds me of like a very dated song, like a Kygo song, or so. There's just something about it that is just not current and will not age well, and it's a shame because the actual song itself and the story behind the song, which she told us at the secret session, is really compelling and intriguing and upsetting. I think that it was a real turning point for her during the writing process of this song, and had this been an acoustic ballad on the album, I think that could have replaced New Year's Day as the slow moment and given us something that was a little bit more authentic. So there you have it. This is my Reputation ranking. I am often accused of being a Reputation hater, but look at the proof. I mean, there's only 3 songs that I don't like and everything else can stay. I have a huge long Gift from God tier that's longer than any other tier. I mean, I think I'm pretty generous and pretty balanced and fair when it comes to Reputation. But speaking of being balanced and fair, I am not going to do that because now I'm going to get into my reshuffled track list. Okay, so the way Taylor described this album to us at the secret session was that it was 80% a deep love story and 20% vindictive character, cosplaying, role-playing, whatever you want to call it. That really intrigued me when she told us this before she played the album, because I was like, what does it sound like when Taylor's putting on a character? And what is 20% of the album? Like, I kind of had an idea from Blank Space, but I also was like, I don't know how I feel about having like only 20% of an album be about this. Why wouldn't the whole thing just be like a character? But I kind of got it when we listened. The problem with Reputation is that it's chronologically all over the place. I think that the vindictive songs all need to go together and in close succession so that you get the idea that it's something she had to get out of her system in order to get to the like meaningful, deeper, more interesting, compelling inward parts of the album that we've come to know and love as the love story. So I have decided to cut 2 songs from this record. 2 songs on the standard edition. I'm taking them off, and it's not the ones that you think, and I am going to add a song as well. I'm going to add a song. I'm going to add a song that was not on Reputation to the track list. Okay, here we go. Track number 1. Ready for It theoretically is a good album opener, but it didn't work for the purposes of my reshuffling. In my reshuffling, the opening track is Getaway Car, because like I said before, it is the bridge between 1989 and Reputation, and I just think that if we're telling the story chronologically, Getaway Car is where we last saw Taylor. In terms of the cancellation, she was literally like watching the Getaway Car pull into her driveway, and she was opening the door about to get in, and then she disappeared. So I think that if we start with Getaway Car, we can kind of clear away some of the baggage of 1989 and skip over some of the like more irrelevant details to the story, like This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. That song doesn't need to exist on this record. I'm telling on myself already, but you know, that's how I feel. So I would start with Getaway Car, and then I would get into some of the vindictive parts of the albums. I have Getaway Car, I Did Something Bad, and Look What You Made Me Do. I Did Something Bad and Look What You Made Me Do need to be successive because they are like 2 sides of the same coin. I really feel these songs were cut from the same cloth. If you were being really brutal, you could choose which one you liked more and cut one of them from the album. For a long time, for me, it was I Did Something Bad that would stay, but I've started to rethink that, given that I'm like, you know, placing Look What You Made Me Do in a very iconic, legendary part of her discography in my brain. So I have those 3 up first. And then right before we get into track 5, on track 4, I have Gorgeous, because I feel like she's in the getaway car, she's like losing her mind, she's freaking out, she's not having a good time, she doesn't really know what's happening, her whole life changes, then she's like flying around the world with all these men, and they all are being weird to her online. This is I Did Something Bad. And then she is lashing out because she's angry, she doesn't understand why she's been painted into a corner. That's Look What You Made Me Do. Next step is Gorgeous, because I think that Gorgeous chronologically happened around that time. Like, the Met Gala was at a turning point for Taylor when I think she was really starting to slip and lose it all. People were annoyed by her. She was overexposed. It was post-Grammy, so all the Kanye shit had gone down. It was really only just starting for her then. So that's why I put Gorgeous at track number 4. It's like close to the vindictive songs, but it also shows that she has a duality to her. She's not always feeling one way or another. She has multiple facets. Track 5, I kept it as Delicate, honestly. It's really hard to restructure a track list because when you restructure a track list, you have to think about like what a track 5 is and where it should go. And sometimes that doesn't line up with like how you're telling the story with the track list. So I can only imagine how hard it is for Taylor to actually pick track 5. But Delicate to me is an authentic track 5 because it's vulnerable and it's honest and it's candid and it's quiet, but it's not mousy. I really enjoy Delicate in a track 5 spot, and I would keep it there, especially when you're comparing it against the other songs on the record. Some idiots might say put New Year's Day just because it's slow as track 5, but no. New Year's Day has nothing that a track 5 would ever want to have. It shouldn't even be part of the conversation. After Delicate at track 5, I have Don't Blame Me at track 6. Just because, like, I don't think that this is a good song, but I wouldn't cut it from the record because I don't think that it is a bad song per se. I think it still has a place on this record, and after Gorgeous and Delicate, you know, she's having the first encounter and then she's kind of second guessing herself. I think after you clear that hurdle of, is this gonna go beyond just a flickering thing? That is when you start to get obsessive and weird about someone. Like, before you officially define the relationship, you get weird about it before then. So I think Don't Blame Me really describes that quite well. Following on from that, going into the spiral of trying to commit to someone, track 7 is a new track, and it is I Don't Want to Live Forever. I Don't Want to Live Forever is very clearly a Reputation outtake, and you know, some people are too scared to say that. Some people don't have the range to think this, but I think this, and I'm not afraid to say it. I Don't Want to Live Forever is a wonderful song. I think the duet with Zayn is nice, but it would also be a song that would sound great just a Taylor solo, right? I think this song has very interesting lyrics and it's very underrated because it's so overexposed in a weird way. I love that lyric, I've been looking sad in all the nicest places. I mean, how many times have we seen pictures of her like sitting at a bar in her hot girl clothes with all her friends looking miserable? It really speaks to where and how she was interacting with the world at that time. So I would personally put it on Reputation because I think it's good enough to make the album better, but not different enough to make it distracting. Production-wise, it's very similar to everything on Reputation, and thematically it is too. Plus the music video is a serve. Number 8 and number 9. So we go from Don't Blame Me to I Don't Want to Live Forever at number 7, and then at number 8 we have So It Goes, and number 9 we have Dress, because she's sealing the deal. She's doing the deed, you know, she's really getting to know her man. So yeah, these are all the kind of like sexy, sad-ish songs. Dress has an element of like danger and ephemerality to it that I think really kind of is befitting of a relationship that's still in its beginning stages and trying to find a solid footing. And we follow up So It Goes and Dress with Dancing With Our Hands Tied at number 10. And so Dancing With Our Hands Tied, I think, is the turning point for the rest of the album. This is where like the anxious, worried, nervous part of her comes in because she is renegotiating her relationship to the public eye, but also wondering how she could ever have another public relationship ever again. There's been no proof of concept. Every relationship she's had has been a disaster, and they've all been public. So that anxiousness and the frenetic kind of nervous energy that kind of currents through Reputation, I think comes out so clearly on Dancing With Our Hands Tied. And I just think, again, if we structure it in a specific way, the whole story becomes very clear. So after Dancing With Our Hands Tied, at track 11, I have Call It What You Want, because Call It What You Want is her going, look, I'm putting my hands up, I'm giving myself over to this relationship. It is what it is. I don't give a shit what you have to say about it. If it goes wrong, that's on me, and I don't want to hear what your opinion is. And that's honestly how I feel whenever I say something unpopular and people start commenting on my YouTube videos. Call it what you want, I'm genius. Yeah, Call It What You Want is like a sweet, slower moment, and it does feel like a winding down moment on the album, so I wanted to put it towards the end, but not at the very end, because I think there are other ways to conclude this story. At number 12, after track 11, which is Call It What You Want, I have King of My Heart. Now, I'm sure that you are all shaking in your boots that I kept her, that I let her stay on the record. And you know what? It's because I realized that my bias against King of My Heart is personal. It's just not to my taste. I don't think that it's like a terrible song. It's just, it's really not for me. Like, not every Taylor Swift song has a place in my heart, and King of My Heart certainly doesn't and won't ever. But I can see that it has some usefulness in this album. For most of this reorganized track list that I've been doing now, we've been talking about brevity. We've been talking about things that, you know, are either going to crumble or last forever, and we're not really sure which direction we're going in. And King of My Heart kind of reorients us a little bit and lets us know that after Dress and I Don't Want to Live Forever and Delicate, that it actually, you know, made it to a good place and that it's worth holding on to, and that it's not only good, but healthy. And then we end the album at track 13 with Ready For It. Isn't that such a curveball to just change it from the opening track to the end track? But can you see where I'm going with this? Like, starting with Getaway Car and ending with Ready For It. Ready For It is a very like self-assured kind of mission statement, but I feel like it's the mission statement for her going forward, not for her journey back into the past and through her struggle to get to a place where she felt like she was ready to let the games begin. Just to reiterate, my reorganized track list is as follows. Getaway Car, I Did Something Bad, Look What You Made Me Do, Gorgeous, Delicate, Don't Blame Me, I Don't Want to Live Forever, So It Goes, Dress, Dancing With Our Hands Tied, Call It What You Want, King of My Heart, and Ready For It. And who are the bitches that I cut? Who got left off? Endgame and New Year's Day, because they don't move the story forward. They don't advance the narrative. King of My Heart says everything that New Year's Day says, just in like a more reputation befitting way, and Endgame literally does nothing. You and me, we got big reputations. Joe Alwyn was literally just a Pisces when you met him. All right, Swifties, that's all I have for you. I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment and follow me on Instagram. I will catch you later.